What is going on, guys? This is Mind Control Media coming at you guys with a video today highlighting Destiny 2 and a little bit about it. You know, no matter what happens, man, I always come back to this game, and this is probably one of the most extensive, long-lasting, like continuously evolving games out there. Honestly, looter shooter to the max. I think this puts Borderlands to shame. Because it is consistently evolving. You don't see that so much with the Borderlands title or franchise. But Destiny 2 just keeps on pushing forward, leaps and bounds, adding on to the story, releasing, I would say, in my opinion, excellent content as time goes on, letting you explore a little bit more of the universe, and then just kind of taking it all in. I think the breathtaking landscapes are just unreal. I mean, look at some of this stuff right now. And I'm over in the Tangled Shore, and just, you know, awesome visuals here. This is one of my favorites, but I mean, it's really tough to choose what is the best place because there are so many cool looking areas in this game series, from Destiny 1 obviously to number 2 now. And this has been out for a hot minute, so it's a little bit old, I think some people might consider, but it's still worth its weight in gold, man. It's just crazy. So I was kind of looking at my build today, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I should probably share a little bit of this because I got such cool stuff on a regular basis in this game. So I just wanted to kind of take a look at it and just highlight it. I mean, you got other Guardians out here with me, but this is probably one of the cooler areas for sure. I'm going to go ahead and try to find a safe area. I'm going to put some rounds down range here real quick. Get this guy with a little bit of buckshot. And that's not the best accurate, or not a very accurate representation right there. That's an accurate representation of what the shotgun is all about. This is called the Badlander. This thing packs a friggin' punch, and it is an automatic shotgun. This thing is absolutely vicious. Once the Forsaken expansion came out, the DLC for the Forsaken, that this shotgun was included in that, and it is just unfriggin' real. But I mean, look at the visuals here, bro. This is so intense, so friggin' cool, man. I'm running an Iron Banner gun here. The Iron Banner is basically like an event that comes through like every so often. I would probably say like every other month, maybe. Something like that, for about a week-long period. And basically it's just to promote more of like PvP, kind of spice it up a little bit, get the chance to get new gear in Crucible, which is the PvP or player versus player mode in this, and it all kind of connects pretty flawlessly. My only complaint, and this is Hive territory right here, the Hive are just like this disgusting race, and they're probably one of my favorite race because they mix like mysticism with a little bit of science, I guess, but it's more of like mysticism. So like, if you want to call it like some dark form of religious science, it's kind of like that, like a mix between, you know, religion and science here. A little bit organic, I guess. This is death worship. I don't know, man. I just know that they're freaking cool looking. This is like one of their layers. This stuff grows over the Hive R. It's pretty intense. I think it's like a spore kind of thing. It's not good. And this architecture here, that's just so sick, bro. But yeah, man, I just really enjoy this stuff. So now that I'm kind of in the pit or in the heart of this dark, evil place, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my Guardian. There's my Ghost. Let's see. Here we go. It's been a hot minute. It's like I said, I'm just kind of revisiting this and then going over it again because it is just too cool. So the last time I played as consistently, the Beck's Offensive had just come out, and this is before the release of Shadowkeep, which is the last installment that they released. So pretty interesting stuff. But I got this armor for the Vex Offensive, and then I quit playing shortly after that because Call of Duty Modern Warfare had come out. And I'm a little bit burnt out on that, so here I am doing this, revisiting Destiny 2, and hopefully going to get back into it because this is such a great game. my Guardian is very underleveled at this point. I think the cap is closer to 900, if not 1,000 at this point. So it kind of gives you an idea of the ballpark that I was in when I quit playing. So I went ahead and edited this armor set just for the aesthetics, and this is something that I think they've done extremely well. Is letting you change some of this stuff up. It's not as free and open as I'd like for creativity, but the color schemes are all there. Some of them are extremely hard to come by, just stuff like that. But if you just check out the visuals and aesthetics of my character, pretty sick. I was going for like a Jango Fett kind of look, bounty hunter. That helmet reminds me of Star Wars when Princess Leia infiltrated Jabba the Hutt's lair in order to rescue Han Solo when he was frozen in, was it Kryptonite? What was that? I know there's some nerds out there that are going to get pissed off as hell. I don't know. Carbonite. There you go. So, hey, I redeemed myself. But, yeah, it's like, has that helmet aesthetic look to it. And then also this armor is very Jango Fett-y, in my opinion, with the blue and then like the tarnished silvery look to it. So I can dig it, man. If you're a fan of The Mandalorian, is another thing too. But let's go ahead and check out my loadout. I've got a few different guns here. I've got a legendary gun that I put a lot of time into called the Breakneck. Acquiring this in a semi-PvP mode. It's like PvP and PvE all mixed in, called Gambit. And this is the gun that I was able to acquire after doing a multitude of challenges. They have a stock version of this, and then they have the legendary version or the upgraded version, which this is. And this is called the Breakneck. The other one is called Hazard of the Cast. This is an auto rifle, and this thing is just too badass. It doesn't have too much of a punch, but here's the kicker. It has certain stats to it that just comes stock with the Breakneck version of this, not the Hazard of the Cast, so don't get that twisted. But we have Rampage here, which happens to be one of my all-time favorite traits on a firearm in this game. And basically, each kill with this weapon temporarily grants increased damage, and it stacks up to 3 times. Crazy thing is, the Onslaught trait here, this weapon's rate of fire increases as you stack Rampage. So you can stack in 3 modes of fire. So every time you get a kill, that kicks it up a notch, and it maxes out at 3 kills, and you're doing maximum damage, and then you're also firing at a much higher fire rate, which is just unreal. And at that point in time, your only enemy is basically your ammunition capacity, which I tried to bump up, but it was just a modest bump to capacity. I think it was like a 41. And then after the backup mag or weapon mod for the increased magazine, it gave me about 4 extra rounds, which does make a difference, believe it or not. From that point, I've got the extended mag, trying to maximize my ammo capacity. The polygonal rifling. I wasn't, you don't have a choice. This is just how it comes, so that's what it is. And then I always set it to kill tracker. This weapon tracks how many enemies you have defeated. I have defeated 5,040 enemies with this weapon. So it's just too friggin' cool, man. And if we move on from that point, you just kind of check out also Talons of the Eagle. This is acquired during Iron Banner, or the Iron Banner. You can kind of mess around with it. I like the look of it now. I just do not like some of this ornamentation on here. There is a gun that this is lightly based off of, and I'm trying to think what its name was. I think it was it's not Truth. It's, gosh, I just cannot remember the name, but it's a bullpup style designated marksman rifle known as a DMR. But this is just so badass. This is just too cool, like the aesthetic of it. I don't like these little knobs on there and stuff like that. The stock version, when it came out, or it's called Distant Relation is what that's called. So that's the stock version, and this is the Iron Banner version of this gun. So it's got these little bells and whistles that, I'm not so big on. It's got this weird piece down here for you to mount on things, I guess, or to make it easier. Just kind of weird, but it has some ornamentation I'm not the biggest fan of, but it does look pretty slick for what it is. If you look at the cosmetics here, here are some of the palettes that you can choose from. Like Xeno Silver, for example, is going to have its own look and feel to it. Amalon Meteor Gloss is another one, so you kind of get the feel. But there's actually some pretty legit ones in here. Warbrick is usually pretty good, but not on this gun. I'm not a big fan. But you can sit here and just take a look at a lot of these all day. I mean, there's so many, and you can continuously earn them as time goes on. This is hands down Gambit leather, one of my favorite palettes on a lot of different guns, and it's the most used one that I have. Just because the aesthetic is pretty cool. Not so much on this one, but it is pretty cool depending on what gun you throw it on. So I'm just kind of messing around here, taking a look at what looks good, what's not so cool. Copper and Blood is another one that I can really dig on. Not particularly on this rifle, but hey, But there is a shader that will make this firearm really pop. And Gambit Chrome looks cool, which is another one of my favorites. Anything Gambit really will make this gun look pretty slick. I like Gambit Blackguard, which is more messed up kind of. This is very Star Wars-ish, I think, this color palette. Very interesting though. I'll use it on some guns, like the Badlander that I have is just vicious looking with this palette on there. And then you look at Mercury Prophetic. I like a lot of the Mercuries colors, or Kairos Black, things like that. Chalcos Finery is pretty slick too, depending on what you put it on. Tangled Rust is another set that's pretty cool, especially on armor, because it has like this really tarnished look to it. So I mean, the aesthetics are all there, man. You just got to find them. Here's another one, Mercury Sunrise. I have my Titans armor set for the Vex Offensive, all Mercury Sunrise, and it is just slick as heck looking. So just to give you an idea, but this is actually pretty cool. Look at this, man. Mercury Prophetic, I think, right? Or Mercurian Sunrise. So anything Mercury related is usually pretty slick or on point. Let's take a look at this one. Midnight Talons is another good one. These are cool. This shader is really cool for standard weapons that look like real life weapons, like the SIG 5.56 patrol rifle. They have a version of that in here, and it's called the Halfdan D, and that is just really cool looking because it looks like it's based off of a real world gun, and it's just too cool with this look because it makes it look like a legit shaded gun. It's pretty cool. So it just makes it look more authentic for what it is. But keep on looking at some of this stuff. I'm probably focusing way too much on this stuff, but I just can't get enough. Yeah, that looks pretty slick. But I am trying to get to this one right here, Distant Earth. This is right now what my armor set is colored as. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw this on there. How many do I have? I can go back and buy some more if I so choose, but I'll go ahead and color this guy. I don't like the reddish on there. The next gun that I have is the Bygones, in fact, and this is one of those Dark Armory, I think it's called. Or it's not the Black Armory, but this is from a different period in time when they released Gambit. The Gambit game mode, and they had a whole set, and this is from like an ancient times in the storyline kind of thing, and these are like these old retro style guns that fit in like a unique piece of time in history, I guess, in the Destiny universe, that I think is more conventional towards like what we would know as firearms technology today. But we kind of look at it, this thing is just so beastly, man, and this is one of the better guns out there. It's called the Bygones. Like the aesthetic of it, I like the wood. This is Gambit leather at its finest. This is why I'm such a huge fan of the Gambit leather shader, because it has that wood look to it and all the other stuff. Very unique, very vintage looking for the time period in game. So I think the creators of these weapon sets did a fantastic job. And the Bygones is also a part of the same weapon set as the Breakneck and the Hazard of the Cast. So it's just a really slick looking gun, and this is a pulse rifle, so you get that 3-round burst on it. So now as we kind of look forward, the blue guns I'm not really going to go over because they're not important. I just use them to level up my gear. But here is the Iron Banner version of the Bygones, and this is like its own deal all in itself, but that one's pretty slick looking. I don't like the little knobs like I said before, but the aesthetic is kind of there still. But I do enjoy the Bygones much more than Claws of the Wolf. But that's more geared towards PvP in the Iron Banner. Then I got the Subjunctive submachine gun from the Vex Offensive, and it has some good stats to it. The fire rate is just absolutely ridiculous, with coming in at 900 rounds per minute. Very interesting, but this is kind of what I have. I haven't shaded it yet. I was kind of messing with it last night, but decided not to go any further. Then I've got the Subtle Calamity, and basically I've tricked out a few different bows in this
show
game.
An inbound hive containment cell from the Prison of Elders.
And I just made this thing look just absolutely badass. My ghost is talking to me right now, so I apologize for that. But if you look at some of these, man, because these are all going to be randomized, not curated, unless you buy it curated in the menu. But yeah, so I've downed 884 dudes with this bow. Got the sneak bow, so increases hold time and reload speed while crouched, which is a good and bad thing, I think. But if it increases the power, it might be worth it. Then I have Dragonfly, and this thing is just vicious because whenever you put an arrow on a target, it does an explosive elemental damage, like explosion. Sorry, being redundant there. But then I have the Carbon Arrow Shaft, which is pretty interesting. Increases stability, which I definitely want on this. And then I have the Elastic String. I could choose the Tactile String, the Elastic Bow String. It does give me a longer draw time, which I technically don't really want. I want a very quick draw time on this thing. I just want to be able to hammer those arrows out as quickly as possible. And I think it might change from player to player, so don't quote me on that. That's just the way I would prefer it, with less of a draw time. So I've legendaried this thing, so I've gotten all the way to the point to upgrade it to maximum efficiency. I've got the target adjuster, so it gains better target acquisition as time goes on, because I want to be able to rapidly put those arrows on target with a less draw time. And then I think this actually lowered it, and I think this is as low as the draw time could possibly be, if I remember correctly. But then again, it has been one hot minute since I've played this game. Looking in here, this is more of a PvP kind of thing. It's not my favorite, but it does put some work in. It's pretty cool. And this is the Anonymous Autumn, very cool for PvP. It's not the most effective, but it's just cool to run pistols sometimes, and like the aesthetic of it is pretty slick as well. I've got some tricked out ones actually in my inventory, but last but not least here, and this is my crowning achievement. I just love the Badlander. This is the best shotgun in the game, in my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. You got you got an 8-round mag, and this thing just absolutely annihilates because it's an automatic shotgun. 140 rounds for a shotgun is unreal in this game, and it just kind of gives you an idea because it packs such a punch like a normal shotgun, but it just goes, man. So I mean, this is a boss killer right here. This is like I have a boss spec increase towards bosses, so if I put rounds on or shells on a boss, it does extra damage to that boss specifically, or just bosses in general. And I did this because it is a boss killer. If I can do field prep, increased ammo reserves, faster reload, stow, and ready when you're crouching. So I mean, crouching is a necessity, I think, but I don't even need to crouch most of the time. But if I am reloading and getting into the thick of it, I can guarantee you that I am going to be crouching. But yeah, this thing is just absolutely vicious. And the stability, I don't really need to increase that, but I'll be slowly working on it as time goes on. But this thing is just unreal. I actually threw the Gambit Vanguard or Blackguard on this gun to make it look pretty cool. The other one that I have for my other character, the Titan, is actually this one right here, the Tarnished Copper, and that's what I'm rolling with my Titan. It's just fucking cool. But yeah, excuse my language there. And then also from that same group of weapons, coming from the Breakneck, the Bygones, and all those, you know, they have a grenade launcher and then also rocket launcher as well. And then through Fire and Flood is the grenade launcher that I've been consistently using. I have leveled up because I want a larger blast radius. It has Rampage on it, so I mean, it just tells you everything you need to know because that's increased the damage up to 3 times. So this thing is definitely a boss killer as well. This is why I have the boss spec on it and chose to go ahead and do that. I put proximity on there, and I think basically anything to increase the blast radius, I guess. Grenades fired from this weapon attach on impact and detonate when enemies are in proximity. I think I may actually do that. Proximity grenades fired from this weapon increase proximity detection but decrease blast radius. So I think I'm gonna keep that there and kind of change it up to make sure I can get these sticky grenades and then proximity them. Okay, cool. So I've got 5 rounds here in this grenade launcher. I've got a few other things here or there. This is from the Iron Banner. I've got a what is that? It's not legendary. It's above legendary. What would you call that? I'm trying to think. It's been so long. But yeah, this is from the Forsaken expansion. When the Iron Banner came to town, I got this rocket launcher there. I don't really use that. I just picked this up, but I'm going to go ahead and use this rocket launcher to increase the strength of one of my other ones. Let's see, where are we at? The Steel Sybil. I'm not a big sword guy, but this one's alright, you know. It does the trick. And then here is the exotic. Yeah, exotics, that's what they call them. So the Prospector automatic grenade launcher, pretty slick looking. I like the wood grain on there, like the wood furniture. Just pretty cool. I'm like, it's an all around cool looking gun. It's got a lot of things going for it from what I remember. It's pretty slick to use, but just not my favorite. It's, you know, but it is what it is. Very cool indeed. And then, you know, you don't really need to see the Crooked Fang. These things are ubiquitous, just everywhere in game. But I've got the Rampage perk. You'll notice, like I said before, that is my favorite, absolute favorite of boss killer weapons or any tier weapons, you know. And you know, I have the other armor sets and stuff like that. We're not really going to get into that. I feel like this has already kind of gone out long enough. But you know, check out some of my ships here. I think that's pretty slick. I wish they had a non-damaged version, which I'm sure they do, but this is what I got. The Shadow Trespass. You got a few other ones here. I got Queen of Hearts. I don't ever use this, from what I remember, but it is what it is. I think I thought I threw Warbrick on there. I guess not. Let's see what Warbrick looks like. Yeah, it's a nicer version. Like cleaned up a little bit. Interesting stuff. But yeah, this is just one of those things about this game that I just love, is there's so much going on, you know what I mean? I guess I did color this one. I guess I was using this for a minute, but, you know, and then, let's see about this one. Yeah, I was definitely using this. Flavato Core, yeah. I actually have an armor set that looks just like this, as flamboyant and ridiculous as possible. And it is, I modded it out to be just a monster in PvP with bows. But yeah, so this is my character. This is my hunter. And with all that being said, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. And hopefully see you guys in the next video. Mind Control Media, out.